And good afternoon, producer Susan. You've had a hectic day, I understand.
Yeah,
Car.
it's a hectic week. It's the all the students are coming back to campus.
All the students come back to campus, and I understand you got your car in the shop.
My car's in the shop because that's a good day for a good week for your car to break down.
Right. And how warm is it out there?
It is very humid. It's in the high 80s, but the humidity is like
Uh,
100. The
Atrocious.
real feel is 100.
Yeah. And so, by the way, let's talk about the weather for a minute. You've got some background in earth science, right?
Yep, yep.
Well, today's August 18th, and you know what we are in what is referred to as the dog days of summer. And do you know where
Yes.
that expression comes from, dog days of summer?
Yes, it's the Sirius dog. The
The
Sirius.
constellation
Yeah.
Sirius the Dog Star. Yes, it's when Sirius the Dog Star is visible in the night sky. So
Hmm.
that's why it's referred to, because normally in the winter you'll never see Sirius the Dog Stars. By the
Yeah.
way, and Sirius the Dog Stars, as I recall, are chasing Taurus the Bull, the constellation Taurus the Bull.
Mm.
So Sirius the Dog Star, the dog is chasing Taurus the Bull. So there's your little
Nice.
astronomy lesson for today if you're into constellations. All right. So you want to hear, by the way, this wasn't in my notes, but I just read about a great new law that just went into effect last month in Missouri. They just passed a law that I think should exist in all 50 states that if you're involved in a DUI accident that kills the parent of a child
Mm.
and you are convicted, part of your sentence will be to pay child support
Oh,
for until that child turns 18 or 21 if they go to college. What do you think about that?
yeah, that good. Good for
I
them.
mean, how common sense is that? You killed the
Yeah.
parent, you got to pay
Yep.
child support.
Yeah, good for them.
So
Now the
anyway,
question is though, if they're in jail, how are they going to pay the child support?
well, yeah, I mean, well, clearly they could sell their house and, use that, set up a fund, set up a fund, for that. And when they get out, they can garnish their wages for the rest of their
Mhm.
lives. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Um, so let's move on. Anyway, our quote of the week again, this one is again from Thomas Sowell, again on the topic of socialists and other people's wealth. I know we talked about that a week or 2 weeks ago. Now, this week, in the stupidest thing I've heard a week, we actually have three nominees. And after I explain them all to you, you're going to get to pick the winner. And listeners, you please send me your comments which one you think is the winner. Our first nominee is the city of Denver, who's suing cigarette manufacturers for the non-biodegradable litter their filtered cigarette butts create when smokers illegally throw them into the streets of the city. That's one.
Mm-hmm.
The second is about a new regulation being adopted in California, which will limit what type of tires you can buy for your car in that state. And our third is a candidate for the next governor of California who's promising voters 2 hours of free electricity every day if they elect him as next governor. So we'll go through the details of that, and you can tell me which one you think is the stupidest thing you've heard all week. Um, we'll tell you about the sentence a California judge gave to a man who was convicted of shooting at and hitting a Los Angeles Police Department helicopter with a rifle, and that helicopter had two officers on board. We'll tell you about that sentence and how it compares to what the prosecutor requested. We'll tell you about a new voting law in Minnesota that allows one registered voter to show up at a polling place with up to 8 people that have no ID and no proof of residency, and all he has to do is claim that they are his friends and family members, and on his word alone, they can be registered to vote as citizens residing in that voting district. And we have a little clip. This is by the guy that James, I forget his name, but he does these things like exposés. It's really hilarious. We'll tell you about a man in the UK who was arrested for simply buying a baseball bat. We'll play a clip from a representative of the Polish government explaining Poland's immigration policy. And we've talked about how successful Poland's been in terms of GDP and, in the past, right? And how they've limited their immigration. They didn't just open the doors and say, hey, yeah, come on in. They had very strict admissions policies. I know you and I talked about this, that if you feed your cat while you're gone for the weekend using one of those electric pet feeders, how that can wind up starving your cat. And you had some more information, which
Yeah.
I'll ask you to share. Um, Time permitting, we'll tell you about a new patent that Walmart was just awarded for a shopping cart that has additional monitoring capabilities. And our taxpayer relief shot this week is from Utah, where two armed customers shoot and kill a third angry customer who had left the store, and he was mad. And then he went out to his truck and got a shotgun and came back into the store, except he wasn't counting on two other customers to have concealed weapons. So talk about a classic taxpayer relief shot. All right. So here's our quote of the week from economist Thomas Sowell. He said, Socialists have a remarkable lack of interest in how wealth is created. As far as they know, wealth just exists somehow, and the only question that interests them is how to redistribute it. They never think about how did that wealth come to be, and no, it's just there, and we want to redistribute it, not realizing that if you do it once, like the goose that laid the golden egg. If you just take all the wealth and redistribute it, nobody will ever work or take the gamble to create new wealth. It's like a one-time thing. You kill the goose and it's gone.
Yeah.
But that's how they think. All right. So here's our three winners, our three nominees for the stupidest thing I've heard all week. So the city of Denver is suing cigarette manufacturers for the cost of cleaning up non-biodegradable litter that filtered cigarettes create when smokers illegally throw those filter butts onto the streets of that city. Now, a couple of things. First of all, the city of Denver always is running street sweepers. And
Yeah.
about once a month, now what happens, the street sweepers are out there every single day and they're
Yeah.
on a route and they have the route figured so that at the end of a month, they finished all the streets and they start over again. So once a month,
Mhm.
every street in the city gets gone over by a street sweeper. So do you think they just because there's some cigarette butts in the street, they're going to increase the frequency of street sweeping?
No,
No, of course not.
it's not going to change.
It's
No.
not going to change. And here's something else. So in Colorado, the price of a pack of cigarettes already includes a state excise tax of $2.24 per pack, which brings the total price to over 10.30. And on top of that, $10.30, the city and county of Denver adds another 9.5% or
Wow.
98 cents per pack, bringing the total sales and local taxes paid on that pack of cigarettes to 322 in taxes on that pack. Don't you think at 322 per pack, that's enough to pay for a street sweeper that doesn't have to
Yeah. So what
increase
are
it?
they using the tax for if not to help clean the city?
Right. All right. So that's nominee number one. They're suing for something and they're going to have a hard time proving that they have any increased costs because unless they're saying, well, we've had to increase the frequency of street sweeping from once a month to twice a month,
Yeah.
they're going to have a hard time proving damages. All right. Second nominee. In a unanimous vote, the members of the California Energy Commission, now these are not elected officials, by the way, these are bureaucrats just sitting in a room making up regulations. The members of the California Energy Commission voted to impose new regulations on the type of tires you can buy for your vehicle in that state. The new regulation will ban the sale of tires that don't meet their strict new standards for, quote, rolling resistance. You know what rolling resistance is?
No.
I mean, the more aggressive your tread, yeah, technically there's a tiny, tiny bit of, call it friction, if you will, rolling resistance. In other words, if I asked you to push two tires, if we had two tires on rims, not on the car, and I asked you to roll two of them down the driveway, um, the one that had the heavier, more aggressive tread might have a tiny bit more effort to push than the
Mhm.
slick tire.
Yeah.
But the difference is not even as much as a roof rack on your car.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they're claiming that new low rolling resistance tires will save consumers money on gas or electricity for EV vehicles by making their cores more energy efficient to drive. Now, today, more than 70% of the tires being sold in California don't meet that new standard, including most all-season tires, snow tires, and off-road tread tires. So here's the deal. You live in or near one of the state's many ski areas? No,
Mhm.
no all season or snow tires for you. You drive a pickup truck to your home on a dirt road or on an unpaved construction site that gets slippery when wet. No aggressive tire treads for you. You have an SUV or pickup that you use to sometimes pull a pop-up camper behind your vehicle when you go to unpaved campgrounds. Well, no aggressive tread tires for you. So that's our second.
Yeah, and the reason, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why people buy trucks and stuff, but the reason why a lot of people buy trucks is for the need, whether, like you said, construction or hauling or off-road or
Or you
snow
live in an area
or,
where you got snow, or you get hauling stuff, or you live in an area where you get snow, or
yeah,
you
I
go to
mean, that's
camp.
the whole point of why I bought that car is because I
Right.
I need that traction
And you
for,
probably have all season tires in your car, right?
yeah, I do.
Well, they'd be illegal in California. And California, by the way, has a lot of ski areas up, but they've got the Sierra Nevada mountain range
Because
where
I live on a mountain.
right. By the way, Lake Tahoe is partially in, the Lake Tahoe ski area, Big Bear
Yeah,
ski area. They got ski
yeah.
areas with snow. All right, here's our third nominee. There's a candidate, gubernatorial candidate, Xavier Becerra, came out with a new campaign promise. If elected, he says he will make electricity free for 2 hours a day. He's also proposing that those 2 free hours occur, quote, mid-afternoon, a period he falsely claims was, quote, is designed to shift electricity consumption away from the evening hours when demand is typically higher and power is more expensive. Now, by the way, how much BS is that? I actually checked the California power department. As I know, and you probably know, the highest power usage is mid-afternoon when everybody's got
Yes.
their from 2 to 5 o'clock,
Mhm.
and that's exactly when he's proposing to make electricity free. Okay,
So
and of
this is
course,
like whatchamacallit, what's this making, the buses free. Well, the buses aren't run by the city in the same situation. Like they don't control the power company. The power company is
right. And if he did
independent.
make him free, now, by the way, now the power company is controlled by the Public Utility Commission, but they are guaranteed a profit. So if the Public Utility Commission tells the power company, don't charge anybody for electricity between 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock, or between 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock, they're going to say, well, great, then we're going to have to charge them more for the other 22 hours a day because there's no such thing as free. The power companies are going to be entitled to get the same amount of revenue. So if it's going to be free in the middle of the afternoon, they're going to have to charge you more for the other 220 hours a day. And this guy's an idiot when he says uh, he wants those 2 free hours to occur during a period he falsely claims is designed to shift electricity away from the evening hours when power is more expensive. How absurd is that?
Yeah.
Anybody with an engineering degree or knows anything about power consumption, peak power consumption in the summer is between 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It is not at 7 o'clock at night. So so let me recap the three. City of Denver wants to sue the cigarette makers for cigarette butts on the street. California Energy Commission wants to limit the type of tires you can buy. And this idiot wants to promise voters free electricity for 2 hours a day every afternoon. What's your vote for the stupidest thing you've heard all week?
Man, these are all tough. I think the electricity one is I mean, that's his wish to get voters to vote for him. I
Hmm.
have to say, I think the people of California seriously didn't think through their tire situation.
Well, it's not the people of California. Again,
Or
this is a
the
seven-member California
yeah,
Energy Commission.
whatever, the commission didn't think through the needs of their constituents.
Yeah.
And
And again, yeah,
the city of Denver's just being greedy.
yeah, and I think they're gonna waste their money because I think any sane judge is going to dismiss their lawsuit. Um, yeah, absolutely incredible that they think their lawsuit has any merit whatsoever. Um, uh, yeah, so anyway, I would have to, I think the tires, and by what bothers me is that these aren't legislators, this isn't the governor, these are bureaucrats in a back room
Mhm.
making, it's a regulation, but it basically amounts to a law that says, hey, you can't sell any more tires that don't meet our new standards.
Yeah.
So that's what really bothers me about bureaucrats.
Hmm.
If they want to pass that, let the legislatures go on record, and so the voters can see what they voted for. All right. So let's move on to a guy in California. So in August of 2025, a convicted felon who was illegally in possession of an AR-15 style rifle, which, by the way, is already illegal in the state of California. Plus, he's a convicted felon, so he can't have a gun. So he's got an AR-15 rifle that he's not illegal, fired at and hit an LAPD helicopter with two officers on board. Now, and by the way, had he been successful in bringing down that helicopter, not only could he have killed the two officers on board, he could have killed innocent civilians on the ground if that helicopter landed on people or landed on somebody's house. Now, while they could have charged him with attempted murder of two law enforcement officers and reckless disregard for human life for the risk it would have posed to people on the ground, the prosecutors elected to only charge him with aggravated assault on police officers and a litany of gun charges. The jury took less than 1 hour to find him guilty of those charges, as they should have. It was open and shut. Now, the prosecution requested a 41-year prison sentence. You know what the judge gave him?
How much?
12 years with the potential, 12 years and 8 months with the potential of being released in just 8 years. And it was she, the judge, the reason in her reducing the sentence to less than 25% of what the prosecutors asked for. And remember, this is a convicted felon in possession of a gun shooting at police officers. She cited that buyers acted friendly during the trial and had a substance abuse problem as reasons for the soft sentence she handed down. Can you imagine? Well, he acted friendly during the trial.
Oh,
And he has, Judge, give me a freaking break. He tried to murder two police officers, and he was a felon in possession of an illegal gun, and you give him just 8 years? Come on. 12 years and 8 months,
yeah.
with the potential to be out in eight. That could have made one of the stupidest things I've heard all week, but we
Yeah.
already had thing. All right.
And again, vote in your off year elections because and this is exactly why.
Yeah. By the way, and I didn't play it, but let me actually, I forgot I had a clip of that California. Let me play the clip. It's hilarious. Here we go.
Regulators approved new rules that will limit the type of tires you can buy when it's time to replace them on your car.
Yeah, while the California Energy Commission says that this is meant to save money for consumers, tire makers say that this will add to the cost of living here in the state. And Case Area 3 was the only TV station at the meeting today. Case Area 3 political director Ashley Zavala was there to watch the vote. So walk us through what this is supposed to do.
This was a lengthy hearing, and ultimately the California Energy Commission, in a unanimous vote, approved new rules that will phase out the sale of replacement tires that are currently sold in California that do not meet certain energy efficiency standards. It's expected to eliminate most of the tires that are right now sold in this state. The goal is for consumers to save money on gas or electricity if you have an EV by having more efficient tires. At the center of this is a tire's rolling resistance, or how much energy a tire uses as it rolls down the road. Lower resistance means a vehicle uses less gas or less electricity. New cars generally come with efficient tires, but consumers typically replace them with higher rolling resistance tires. This new rule comes in phases in California. So first, by 2029, California will only allow the sale of tires with a maximum rolling resistance level of 9.1. In phase 2, the standard lowers to 7.2 starting in 2033. That second phase means that an estimated 70% of tires currently sold in California will be eliminated from the market.
Now that goes on for another 2 minutes, but that was more detail. Now I want to move on to this next one, which also could be a stupidest thing I've heard all week. Minnesota has passed a voter registration law that allows one registered voter like you to bring up to 8 people with you, say, these are my friends, and they don't have any driver's license or proof of citizenship or even proof of residency. They don't even have a utility bill on them. And by the way, some of them are wearing a burqa, so you can't see any, you can't even see their face. But yeah, but these are my friends. They all live in my neighborhood and they're all citizens and I vouch for them. They'd all like to register for vote, and then immediately upon registering, going to the voting booth and cast a vote. So that's a law trickling along Minnesota. So first of all, can you believe that if you walked in with 8 friends, many who have their faces covered, and you say, I'm vouching for these 8 people. They're all citizens of the country and they all reside in this voting district. And the people at the polls say, okay, that's fine. Yeah, get your register and there's the voting booth right there. How stupid is that, right?
Yeah. You need to have ID.
Well, so here's this guy, and I'm going to play the whole thing, but if anybody listening wants to see the whole clip, it's James O'Keefe. He's done a lot of expertise. So in this video that you can't see, he's wearing a white Muslim garb with a white Muslim cap and sunglasses. And he's got a bunch of his friends dressed up like Muslim, including people dressed up wearing burqas where all you can see is the eyes. And here he is walking into a polling place where the active voting going on. Here we go.
I'm James O'Keefe, and this is vouching for 7 other Muslims at a Minneapolis polling booth. Going in, location, I'm going to say that I'm vouching for them. The name is William Lawrence. The question about your vouching program, about vouching, and so I can vouch for them, but they are not. That's okay. That's fine. Can I bring the 5 more from to 8 people?
So
okay, that's a good thing. We go back and we get Ernesto and Ernesto and Mohammed. In Minnesota, you can show up on election day and vouch for up to 8 unregistered voters. Members of the Justice League dress up in traditional Muslim attire, including a transgender wearing a burqa, and put this vouching law to an extreme test on primary day, August 11th.
Gonna be a baller, shot caller, 20-inch blade, only a baller.
The vouching Yeah.
Vouching for.
I vouch for them. Is that okay?
Yes.
How does that work?
Well, if you're all in the same precinct.
Yes.
And you are already registered, which looks like you are, then you can vouch for them as ID for them.
Oh, good. She says to me,
And by the way, and he vouched, since they don't have picture ID, he registered as somebody else because he didn't have to show a picture ID. He just got somebody else's utility bill, and he didn't have to, he didn't. So he's not really the guy he said he was. This is James O'Keefe. So he already registered fraudulently. Now he didn't vote. He made sure he didn't vote. But so even he was fraudulently registered, and that somebody who's fraudulently registered himself, is vouching for 7 other people who also have no ID and no proof of citizenship and no proof of residency. How ridiculous is that law in Minnesota?
Yeah.
All right.
You need to have ID.
All right. UK. I've got a video, but there's no words. A guy in the UK, Manchester, goes into a sporting goods store, buys a baseball bat, and when you buy them, they come like in a plastic, like a blister pack.
Mm-hmm.
So he comes out of the sporting goods store with the baseball bat, which is too big to put in a bag, obviously. So he's got the baseball bat in one hand. He's wearing a backpack, and he's got his receipt, and the baseball bat's in a blister pack. And he walks out, and a cop sees him, tackles him to the ground, and arrests him for carrying a deadly weapon. Folks, if you want to see the video, send me an email to joe at jerzee-joe.com, and I'll send you the video of or you can Google Manchester man arrested for carrying baseball bat.
Well, Jerzee Joe, I sent you one the other day in, I believe it's Howell, New Jersey. The school district has now banned, like the Stanley water, the thermos, not thermos, the water bottles, the Stanley water bottles.
I don't believe I see that. You might.
Oh, yeah. Howell, New Jersey. I believe it's Howell, New Jersey. The school district has banned the metal Stanley water bottles. Actually, they didn't say the brand name Stanley. They just said water bottles, metal water bottles.
Yeah, I've got one I keep in my car. Yeah.
Yeah, as do I. Because they could be used as a deadly weapon in a school fight.
Oh, goodness.
Now, what does a metal water bottle have to do with that? If I'm in a fight, I'm going to grab for anything. It could be a textbook or a plastic water bottle or my book bag or backpack or
a chair with metal
legs.
With metal legs.
Why are they singling out metal water bottles? Yeah, I sent you that the other day.
I must have. Could you send that to me again? I mean, I'll search for it.
I'm pretty sure it was Howell, New Jersey.
Okay. All right. We'll do it. How much time we got?
We've got about 10 minutes.
Okay. All right. Let me move on. So a couple of weeks ago, we talked about how Poland's economy has just skyrocketed. They now have a higher GDP than Switzerland, and their per capita GDP, GDP per person, is now higher than of Japan. Now, Japan is Honda, Toyota, Nissan, Sony. Can you imagine little Poland now has a GDP, gross domestic product, greater than that of Switzerland and a higher GDP per person than Japan? Isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
Well, here's the representative. This is Poland's representative to the EU Parliament, and he's asked about their immigration policy. And here's what he tells the interviewer about Poland's immigration policy.
How many refugees has Poland taken?
And the question was, how many refugees has Poland taken? Now, remember, she didn't say immigrants because they have taken immigrants, but she used the word refugees, and here's his answer.
0.
And you're proud of that?
If you are asking me about Muslims illegal immigration, none, not even one will come to Poland. Not even one if it's illegal. We took over 2 million Ukrainians who are working, who are peaceful in Poland.
2 million Ukrainians they took in.
We will not receive even one Muslim. This is why our government was elected. But this is why Poland is so safe. This is the reason why we had not even one terrorist attack.
Isn't that unbelievable? So 0, none, no Muslims. Poland has taken in millions of Ukrainian refugees, but no Muslims, unlike almost every other country in Europe. The Polish borders are closed and will remain closed. You can visit, sure, you can travel to Poland, which is a beautiful country, but if you try to go there illegally and live there, they will throw you out, no questions asked, and the results have been astonishing. 0 terrorist attacks, the safest country in Europe, the lowest murder rate, it's clean. They have the lowest unemployment in Europe, and the economy in Poland post-COVID, based on GDP, has been one of the best in Europe over the last 5 years, even with a war raging in neighboring Ukraine. Dominique Terezhinsky is the man.
All right, it goes on and on for another 4 or 5 minutes. We don't have time to play the whole thing. But again, if you want to see the whole clip, again, just send me an email to joe@jerzee.com.
Yeah.
Or producer Susan, is that a clip you can put up on the website?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, or give producer Susan a couple of days and they'll be up on the website. All right, let's see what else we got here.
And by the way, I did find this quote from Superintendent Joseph Zola from the Howell, New Jersey School District. Metal and glass bottles, tumblers, and cups are rigid, heavy objects that can cause significant injury if thrown, swung, or used during a student altercation. Incidents involving these types of containers have resulted in safety concerns and injuries, prompting the district to take this additional precaution to protect our students and staff.
Wow. So when I went to high school and I could bring my rifle to school 2 days a week and put it in my locker, I guess that he would have banned that too, huh?
Yeah.
So why was it, 40 years ago, I could bring my rifle, my and all my rifle team teammates, we could bring our freaking rifles to school, and that wasn't a problem then. So why are water bottles a problem now? That's a question for a different day.
Yeah.
But, all right. We talked about electronic pet food dispensers. Folks, if you or any of your friends or relatives have these electronic pet food dispensers, like for a cat, like if you go away for a 3-day weekend, you put out a couple of bowls of water and you set the timer to feed your cat twice a day, and they got a litter box. You ever notice when you have a power outage, even a 2-second power, you come down in the morning and your microwave is blinking, and maybe your alarm clock is blinking, and maybe the clock on your stove is blinking. In my case, my coffee pot stove is the clock on my and none of it works because the clocks are all blinking on 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
Well, if your electronic pet food feeder doesn't have a battery backup, or if it has a battery backup and you haven't changed the batteries in 3 years, chances are if there's a power outage while you've gone on a 3-day weekend, your cat's going to go hungry because they won't work unless they have battery backup and it's got fresh batteries in it. So just a little tip for people who have cats and use electronic feeders, or have friends that use electronic feeders. All right. Real quick, Walmart. Talk about, we talked a couple of weeks ago about stores using this LED shop price tags on the shelf where they can change the price.
And Kohl's does it too.
Right. Walmart has just been awarded a patent titled Systems and Methods for Biometric Feedback Cart Handle. That design feature, Smart Cart, has smart cart handles equipped with sensors to track a shopper's heart rate, body temperature, grip strength, and pushing speed. Walmart stated the data is meant to detect medical emergencies or high stress to alert store owners. Sure, Walmart, that's the only reason you did that, right? Yeah. So, folks, it's coming. So if you're paranoid about that, either don't shop at Walmart, use your own shopping bag, or wear gloves, because
I try to avoid Walmart anyway.
Okay. All right. So let's move on to our taxpayer relief shot. And we probably don't have time to go into why we call them taxpayer relief shots. But again, when a good guy or good woman with a gun shoots and kills a thug, you save the taxpayers a whole bunch of money. And here's what happened in Utah, Salt Lake City, Utah. Here we go.
So we're following breaking news in Riverton tonight, where people inside a gas station just shot and killed a man after he brought a shotgun inside of the store. Liv Kelleher is live with what police say happened there this afternoon. Liv.
Yeah, Heidi, like you said, police confirmed that one individual is dead. No one else has been injured. I'm going to step aside, let Randy zoom in a little bit to this Chevron and Holiday station here. They say that this started when an individual entered the Holiday and demanded alcohol from the clerk. He did not have his ID on him and was denied, and then some sort of altercation ensued. Two bystanders attempted to de-escalate the situation. That individual then left the holiday and got back into his car. He drove around the parking lot and retrieved his firearm, a shotgun, and went back into the holiday. They say from there, some sort of confrontation happened. The individual had his shotgun. He didn't actually fire it, but there was some form of an altercation. These two bystanders were armed, and they ultimately shot that individual who left the gas station, walked out into the parking lot, and then succumbed to his injuries. Now, we don't quite know yet how many shots were fired by those bystanders. Police tell us that they are cooperating with the investigation, and that victim has not yet been identified. Heidi?
So he gets shot by the two armed citizens in the store, walks out and, quote, succumbs to the gunshot wounds. What's another word for succumbs to the gunshot wounds?
Die.
Dead right there.
Yeah.
He wound up dead right there in the parking lot. By the way, how relieved do you think the store this was a convenience store. It was a gas station convenience store that sold alcohol.
Yeah.
How relieved do you think the store clerk was that two of the customers had concealed weapons?
Yeah, I'm sure.
I mean, if the guy comes in, he's angry at you because you won't sell him alcohol, and he comes back with a shotgun, goes out to his car, gets a shotgun. By the way, Utah is one of the 26 states now where you don't need a permit from the police to carry a concealed weapon. Have we talked about constitutional carry?
Yes.
And in those 26 states, the state has just said, if you are legally eligible to carry a concealed weapon in our state, you don't need a piece of paper from us confirming that. You either are or you aren't. And if you are, you can. And if you aren't and you do it anyway, you're going to face some severe jail time. So that's Utah, one of those 26 states that just says, hey, if you are a legal resident, you're not a convicted felon, you don't have the restraining order, you can legally carry a gun in our state. And that's what I was surprised that usually it's just one. In this case, it was two. And convenience stores typically don't have more than 4 or 5 people in them. So, 2 out of the half a dozen people in there were both armed. All right. Anything you want to add before we sign off?
No, since we have a minute, those RFID feeders for cats and dogs, a friend of mine has 3 different cats on 3 different specialized diets. And so each cat wears a special RFID collar, and only their collar opens up their dish of food.
So that's neat. So if that cat walks up to one of the other 2 feeders, it won't dispense anything.
Correct.
But if it walks up to the feeder that's loaded with the food for that specific cat, it will dispense that.
And the same would be if you have a dog and a cat. Obviously, dogs, by the way, cannot eat cat food. It's too rich for their digestive systems. So this would work well if you have a dog and a cat and you're trying to keep the dog out of the cat food and vice versa. Just put the RFID collar on your animal, and then only their collar opens their dish.
That's great information. I wasn't aware of that, and I'm sure most of our listeners weren't either.
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily to use for like you mentioned about the power outage, the failure. This is just to keep your animals out of each other's food dishes.
Right. And again, if you're using these things, make sure they got a battery backup and make sure they got fresh batteries if you're going away for 3 days.
And the same is true for doggy doors too. You can have a RFID collar on a dog door.
That opens it up only for the dog with the collar.
Only for that dog or only for that cat, yeah. It won't open for the cat. It will only open for the dog.
Gotcha.
Whatever you want. Yeah.
All right.
Pretty neat technology.
It sure is. All right. Well, Producer Susan, I want to thank everybody who listened to this podcast today. If you want to see any of the links, give Producer Susan a day or 2 to get this stuff up on the website. Or if you want to get them directly, just send me an email to Joe. By the way, the website is jerzee.com. You have to spell Jersey, J-E-R as in Robert, Z as in zebra, E-E, Jerzee, jerzee.com, no space. And if you want me to send these to you directly, or you want to get on the mailing list, or you have any questions, or you want to suggest a show topic, just send me an email to joe@jerzee.com. Just remember to spell Jersey with an R, a Z, and 2 E's. And with that, Producer Susan, unless you've got something else, I'm going to sign us off.
All
you
right,
good?
Jerzee Joe.
All right. Talk to you next week. Take care.